Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. We took a little break and we're talking basketball again, Bill. We had the Cavs and Celtics post-game show last night, and we're right back at it.
Here we go. And I got some breaking news, some insider news. I reached out to a few people this morning, and what I got was, this is pretty shocking, the Celtics and Cavs are good. I mean, just stop the presses, get the alerts out. Let's go.
As it turns out, it lived up to the hype, and we're going to get into that in a second. Later in the show, we're going to have all of your NBA Cup action from last night, including Dalton Knecht, and the Lakers are on a heater, Bill. The Spurs pulled an upset over OKC without Wemby. I've got a Cup format change proposal for you. Not mine. It's Mark Stein's, but it's a good one. I want to run it past you. Yeah, and then we'll do team of the night. But as I mentioned, Cavs and Celtics, if you're looking for a deep dive, Bill and I did a bonus episode last night. That should be in your feed. We're just going to do kind of like top-level takeaways from this last night. But the Celtics won. And I think for both of us, Bill, you know, we talked about it on HQ. We talked about it on the bonus episode. The Celtics won. They look like the Celtics. But our main takeaway was, to the extent that you could have like even a good loss, the Cavs kind of had one here and confirmed that we think that they're a quality team.
Can I see your good loss and raise you a great loss if such a thing is possible? I'll just repeat quickly what we talked about yesterday. Shaky, nervy start from Cleveland. Boston is really good. Hit more than half their three-point shots. We know they take a lot. They made a lot of them as well. And Cleveland down 21 in the third quarter still, as we talked about yesterday, found a way to fight back, to get in the game, to make it a game. Even though Darius Garland, for an evening, forgot how to shoot, 3 of 21, did not make any of his three-point shots. So there's some other takeaways I want to hit, but the overarching thing is we already knew Boston is the team to beat. They are literally the best team in the NBA. They are the defending champions. Cleveland, they may not be the Thunder, but they're right behind them, I think, as if you're going to rank the best teams in the league and try to look at that going forward. The Cavs are legit. Even in that loss, I think, proved it as much as the 15 wins.
Yeah, I'm sure that the Cavs wanted to win that game and go 16-0 and make a statement win. But to be down 21, I thought it was a wrap so many different times, especially after Jason Tatum hit that three at the end of the third quarter and told George Niang to get off his court. And I'm doing the PG version of what he actually said. It was very cool. But for them to rally multiple times, being down 21 and they cut the lead to 5 different times, they couldn't get over the hump because they had a bad shooting night, especially Darius Garland, as you mentioned. But on the road in a cup game against the defending champs, you know, I thought that they gave the Celtics something to think about here. The other thing that I had as a takeaway was Tatum. What a season he's having. I mean, we've mentioned him as an MVP candidate. He keeps reconfirming that. I mean, last year when he couldn't shoot, especially in the postseason, and we spent a lot of time talking about what's going on with his shot, and then he goes to the Olympics and he doesn't play, and then he just comes back and all of a sudden he's just draining threes after that. Bill, last night was the 9th game this season that he's had at least 5 3-pointers.
I mean, and we hit this in HQ. Boston is the favorite. They're the favorite to win an NBA championship, and we haven't even factored in the fact that there should be a better version of Jason. They won last year. And look, Tatum was good at other things, and he still commanded a lot of attention and made life easier for his teammates in the playoffs. It's not like he was awful, but he didn't shoot well, as you just said. So, yeah, there's a better version of the Celtics potentially coming in the playoffs when we finally get there in April, because I think there's going to be a better version of Jason Tatum from a shooting perspective. And you're right. We have seen that on display pretty starkly, pretty focused from Tatum over the course of the start of the season.
A better version of the Celtics is really scary because they don't have Kristaps Porzingis yet. When you bring him back, that's another guy who can shoot, and also that obviously helps your rim protection. And now you've got Al Horford as your backup big, and you get more depth out of them. And I know that this is sort of a weird thing to say on a night where they gave up 117 points to a Cavs team that wasn't shooting particularly well. But Mazzulla said kind of the same thing that you and I did afterwards, was they played pretty good defense last night. Like, you started to see a glimmer of, oh yeah, the Celtics were the second best defensive team last year. They went into last night as the number 9 defense. And it was like, yeah, there actually could be a better version of them coming up here. And that's kind of scary.
And Drew Holiday is going to shoot better, I think, and play a little bit better this year. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you were talking a lot about Pritchard yesterday, right? And I was going to ask you, who's your favorite random Celtic? And random is sort of a weird word because they're so deep. But for me, it's Derek White. Every time I watch that guy play, I'm like, man, like critical moments, but they have so many guys, maybe not beat you, but they have so many guys that for stretches can come out and inject defense, offense, shot making. That is just it's almost as if it's not as if Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't able to do it. Porzingis when he's there, they're like, all right, Pritchard, you go for a minute, and White, you go for. They're not just deep in the sense they have a lot of guys they can roll out. They're deep in the sense they have a lot of guys who can be impact players for big minutes. What a daunting challenge it is to just envision who's going to beat that team in a 7-game series.
If you're asking me who my favorite Celtic is, I'm going to say nobody, random or otherwise. But for the purposes of this exercise,
that's right. Yeah. I feel like
for the purposes of this exercise, Pritchard's been awesome. He's going to get a lot of chatter for 6th man of the year because he comes in and he's instant offense. I'm with you on Derek White. I mean, I was an early adopter on Derek White. He's just so good, and we saw that it reaffirmed last season. He gets paid this offseason, goes to the Olympics, and as the Kawhi replacement, and all of a sudden everybody goes, oh yeah, this makes way more sense. They need another perimeter guy, and like you double up on the Drew Holiday thing. But yeah, my answer, I guess if I had to pick one, it would be Drew Holiday. He's had a slow start to this season, but he's one of those guys who I've said multiple times, like he doesn't, when he's playing like Drew Holiday, he doesn't hurt you anywhere. He helps you everywhere. So,
and what is he, the 4th best player on the team, and he's Drew Holiday, and he's a stone cold winner?
He's be lower than that right now. I mean, because he's gotten off to a slow start. But yeah, I mean, yes,
last year.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But what a game that really lived up to the hype. Other NBA Cup action from last night, Bill. I want to do Jazz and Lakers. Lakers are on a heater right now. They've won 6 in a row. They're undefeated at home. They're 2-0. The defending Cup champions, 2-0 in the Cup, Bill, in Group B. They went into the game last night. I thought they were going to run up the score. At one point, they were up what were they up? Like 25. They had a plus 5 point differential going into that game. I'm like, man, they're going to come out of this thing sitting real pretty. They came out plus 11. The Jazz got it a little bit closer. Things that I wanted to flag. One, LeBron checked back into the game up 21. And I'm like, man, that point differential thing is amazing. But specifically, Dalton Knecht. Can we talk about Dalton Knecht for a second here? They put him in the starting lineup. I don't think you can take him out. I think this is the answer. Forget about Cam Reddish. He had 37 points last night. He went 12 of 16 from the floor. He hit 9 threes. That's an NBA rookie record. Yeah, 9 of 12.
So, by the way, it's better to be lucky than good. It's outstanding to be both. The Lakers have been really good. The fact that Knecht fell to these guys, was it 17? That he fell to them in the draft as one of the more talented people at that spot in the draft, and exactly what they needed. I mean, you sort of knew he was going to be a really important piece potentially. I didn't know he was going to be this good this quickly. He is. What is the stupid soccer term they say? Unplayable, which means the opposite of what it means over here. You have to start him. It's not even. I mean, JJ is going to do JJ, and I'm sure he'll start. But you're right. Can I also say this too about the Lakers? Because Knecht's a story, and we should talk about him. He was amazing. Can I just say that Anthony Davis is a quiet MVP candidate, which is something I had raised on the show on one of our Tuesday overreactions. I mean, if Anthony Davis is going to play at this level and LeBron is going to play like he's 27 for his entire life, and you're going to get contributions from Knecht, and JJ's offensive changes are real, I mean, maybe the Lakers really are a top, not even 6, top 4 team. Who am I to challenge the idea that both the Lakers and the Warriors, instead of being battling for the play-in spot or battling for the top spot in the Western Conference?
I mean, they look real right now, right? I mean, third in the Western Conference. My thing that you would tease me about was 2 All-NBA players, and you were rightly saying
I didn't tease you.
Well, you were rightly saying, like, what about the rest of the roster? And that was my concern as well. But the rest of the roster now, when you're getting good Austin Reeves play, the whole D'Angelo Russell to the bench thing, I thought was maybe a little premature, but now they've stumbled into this, connecting to the starting lineup, because Reddish wasn't the answer, but I do like D'Lo off the bench.
But also, you're right, and it's a good point in that maybe I'm making too much of this, but also that's the first time JJ Redick as a young head coach kind of called a guy out and put a guy under the spotlight. And I remember thinking maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. They've been outstanding since that moment. And that's a pretty baller move for a young head coach to go at a guy, to publicly say this guy's habits have to improve. And you're right. I mean, not only D'Lo going to the bench and it works there, but it's a pretty impressive opportunity for JJ Redick to put a stamp on the team as more than just LeBron's podcast partner.
Yeah, tricky too, right? Because that thing could have gone the other way. It could go south, and then all of a sudden you blow up your team chemistry, and it's early, and everybody's pointing the finger at you. I want to go back to Knecht for a second. So LeBron was asked about this after the game because, like you said, you didn't see it coming. A lot of people were high on Dalton Knecht because he was, he's like close to AARP range here. He's like 25 years old, 30 years old or something. But he was, he was a developed product, and people had some thoughts that he could be a good shooter right away. I don't think anybody anticipated that he was going to be this good. So they asked LeBron about it after the game, and they said, what do you think about the Lakers drafting Knecht and finding him? And he said they didn't find DK. The other 16 teams effed up. Didn't anybody watch him? And
Great.
I think he's right. I mean, like, the people who forecasted that this kid could come in and be NBA ready were correct. Now, did they think that he was going to hit 9 of 12 threes and set an NBA rookie record? I think that's probably a bit much, but he looks really good.
I mean, sometimes this happens a lot in NBA drafts and all these drafts. Sometimes people just overthink things. Sometimes players are what they appear to be, and this guy is a shooter, and it was a reliable shooter in a sport where that's really important. And even before this became an absolute prerequisite to succeed, you've always had to surround LeBron with shooters. That's always been something that he needs around him. And so they effed up. And the last thing you need to do is empower LeBron James and the Anthony Davis team by giving them a critical piece that in a lot of ways they were missing.
Yeah. And LeBron flagged this too. He's like, and I'm paraphrasing here. He was really good at Tennessee last year. As producer Aaron points out, he led the SEC in scoring by a fairly wide margin. So there was tape on him. We could see it happening. I just want to mention this too. He gets taken 17 by the Lakers. Do you know who was taken 16?
No.
Jared McCain by the Sixers. Can you imagine if Jared McCain wasn't having a good season? Like with everything that's happening in Philadelphia, the entire city and the fan base is already down extremely bad. But if Dalton Knecht had been taken one pick later and McCain wasn't good, that would be it.
I've got good news for you on Philly. I came today with good news on Philadelphia. Are you ready? I did. I wrote it down. You ready? Are you ready? They are only 4 games behind the 6th seed. The 6th seed are the Miami Heat at 6 and 7. You're fine, man. Just figure it out. Have Embiid show up on time. Get healthy. Blah blah. I
believe
you're in it.
In the NBA, in the history of the NBA, 8 teams have started 2-11 and made the playoffs. None of them reached.
Broken.
Yeah, none of them got out of the first round. So I'm not really buying it. Yeah,
I'm just coming with you. You got this.
Rookie of the year race, Knecht and McCain. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, feels like it.
With Edie's ankle rolled, he's week to week.
I mean, yeah. Look, if Edie gets back out there, which it's such a yes over the course of this sample size, that certainly makes sense. I still think Edie's a pretty strong bet, and that that Memphis team right now is what, over 500, but technically I think they're 11
they lost
in the
last
standings.
night. I think they're 8 and 7.
Yeah. So the thing about Edie is I think Ja Morant being healthy and Memphis being a top 6 team would be a contributing factor. Like more voters that pay attention to these guys, the easier it is to snag some of those votes. So I think it's a 3-player race. But yes, I mean, also I don't know, can Jared McCain win? I don't think this will happen, but can he be the rookie of the year if he's really good and the Sixers turn out to be really bad and dysfunctional? I think they're probably going to figure it. They're not winning 30s. They're going to win 40-some games, right? I think Philly's going to figure it out. But if the Lakers are good, if they're really good, if this is real, and Knecht is a contributor and a starter, maybe he's the front runner.
It's interesting. Both of those guys are so much fun to watch. I mean, really living up to the hype and the promise. By the way, while we're nominally discussing the Sixers, they play tonight against Memphis. Tyrese Maxey is questionable. Are you starting McCain alongside Maxey? I was asked this question last night on Philadelphia radio. Yeah, me too.
Oh, you were on with Jody Mack, I saw, right? You're on with Jody? That guy's
he says hi. He loves you.
I love Jody. Yeah, Jody Mack's amazing. Yes. Yeah, I trust
him out of the lineup,
to figure it out. I think you can't.
Yeah.
I think you can't. And I think that we've seen this. We're talking about Cleveland. We've seen Atkinson be able to figure out some guys that there were some questions whether they could fit in Garland and Mitchell. Yes. Nick Nurse can figure it out. Jared McCain's been outstanding. You keep him in.
Yeah, you have to find out if that works together because all these other permutations that you've tried don't work. So at least give this one a shot and see how it goes. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to continue our conversation about the NBA Cup action from last night, including a very surprising Spurs win last night, Bill. NBA Cup, man, continues to surprise us. Very exciting stuff. We'll talk about that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game.
Madness of Messi arrives!
Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Whoa.
And all day long!
24/7.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. Just a reminder, you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Please download, subscribe, leave a review. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can leave us a comment on this episode. If you look below the play button on the Spotify app, when you're in full screen mode, you can tell us what you think about the show or leave us a question. You and I were early adopters on the NBA Cup, and we're proven right yet again last night.
It's so much fun.
Be evangelicals for the NBA Cup. Last night, OKC and Spurs. No Wemby and no Chet Holmgren, right? And like under the last time they played, it was Chet Holmgren getting the better of Wemby, and that's an obvious selling point for NBA casuals who tune into that game. So then you're thinking maybe this is not going to be a great game. All of a sudden, here come the Spurs, and they win a game in Group B and defeat the best team in the Western Conference, one of the best teams in the NBA. They're up 21 points. It got close after that, but CP had a double-double, and Stephon Castle, in the absence of Wemby last night, all of a sudden on my radar, Bill, we were just talking about rookie candidates. He looked awesome. He had a crucial block late. He didn't shoot well, but I like the fact that he took 7 threes. I think he only made one of them, but still, again, he's getting them up, and that's someplace to start. Another reason why we like the NBA Cup. Look at this.
And I know there's no Chet, but it's not as if no Wemby, you think the Spurs have no chance. No Chet, that sucks, but Shea's out there dropping whatever he had, 32. And then that's a complete, deep, outstanding basketball team. Yeah, good. And like, I'm with you on Castle. I think we all thought that he was going to be a really nice piece, right? The Spurs do a great job developing players. You get to play with Wemby, but it was going to be a process. And for him to show some flashes last night of what he might be able to do, it just reinforces the fact that I've said this, I think the Spurs are capable of competing for a play-in spot this year. I don't think they'll be in the play-in, but I think at the end of the year, as I've said a bunch of times, that there's going to be a situation where we're going to be in March and they're going to be in shooting, maybe like the Rockets last year, right? But maybe for the whole year and not just this late surge. They're better than they look. They're better than they look.
They're 1-1 in Group B, as are Oklahoma City Thunder. And Bill, in the regular race, they're one game out of the 10 spot.
Yeah.
So
they're in it.
You called this when we did our season predictions multiple times that they could be ahead of the curve. I was a little less bullish on them than you were, but we're seeing it now. And again, it was really surprising. Like, without Wemby, I anticipated you're cooked. The Thunder are just going to steamroll them. But you got Vassell back. Stephon Castle is starting to play a little bit. Okay.
Yep. Harrison Barnes had a good game. My guy CP3. I mean, I've never doubted
That's
Chris.
Your guy.
That's my dude.
That's your guy.
CP3 so tight.
He came up big last night. Also big last night in the absence of both Joker and Aaron Gordon. The Nuggets beat the Grizz. Now, the Grizz didn't have Ja or Edey, but I thought, MPJ looked great. You and I were all over his case earlier in the season, being like, they need more from him. Well, they've gotten more from him recently. He went for 24 and 10 last night.
Yeah.
Here's something else that I wrote down. Russ had his 200th triple-double last night. Obviously, he's the NBA leader. It's the most in NBA history. He went for 12, 10, and 14, Bill. And I like that you're laughing because the 12 part, it was stuck on 10, 10, and 14. And at the very end of the game, when the game is wrapped up, he got, like, everybody had, how, like, it was 122 to 110, right? So they inbound the ball and everybody just stood there. And Russ just went and got an easy layup for the sake of it. And there was 7 people left in the stands, and those 7 people booed the hell out of him.
Classic Russ. He did a lot of that the year he won the MVP when he averaged a triple double. By the way, can I just circle back to and point out that MPJ has been playing better. He didn't make a 3 last night. He scored.
Yeah, I saw that.
He scored 24 points, and it was more of a complete basketball game, right? It wasn't just him sniping from deep and trying to get hot, and and that's been the thing that Malone's been working on for years, and like some of the sort of internal frustrations is they think, and they obviously paid him this way, they think he can be a complete difference maker of a basketball player, that he's got the physical skill set to do it, and they like a little more effort sometimes defensively, a little more focus. But I'm with you, like him playing well is such a good sign. I've come around to this. They need him to have these games, have these conversations, so that in January, whenever it is, they can trade him, right? Build up the value, let that stock get as high as possible, and then sell high, baby, and get some depth.
If he keeps playing like this, though, I don't know, because that we've talked about the starting unit, minimum of 100 minutes. That starting five when they're healthy has the second best net rating. And if he's playing well, and he only took 4 threes last night, which isn't enough. He needs to take more. But when Joker comes back, that unlocks some stuff too. By the way, nobody's really talking about this.
Yeah,
it's personal reasons, but
don't know
the last 3 games, and there's been no reporting on it.
And Malone was is put out. It's clearly frustrated and put out by the whole thing. I'm not sure it's put out with Joker. It might be put out with the questions. Yeah, it's a weird deal. Did you see Malone say, like, when we get back to Denver, we'll figure it out? Like, okay, maybe you should figure it. So I don't. It's. I
mean, they've done okay without him. They're 8-5 in the regular standings and 1-1 in Group C for the NBA Cup. And again, they won last night in
I think
Memphis.
they lost the first 2 without him, though, right? Like, aren't they? This 3 games that he's missed, and I think they lost. It was good to win one.
They might have. Yeah, they needed to win one. But yeah, something to keep an eye on there, that we don't know what's going on with Joker.
You make a good point, though, that you make a good point that when you look at their starting 5 who haven't played a lot together, it's outstanding, and which is the numbers that suggest Denver's probably just fine if and when Joker's around, right? Like when it's easy to lose. Like, it's really cool the Lakers are really high in the standings. It's really cool the Warriors are really high in the standings. You know what Oklahoma City is. Denver is going to be in that mix because they have this guy who's the best player on the face of the earth.
Other NBA Cup action from last night, as anticipated, the Mavs smashed the Hospital Pelicans. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time on that one.
I didn't spend a lot of time watching it. Oh my God!
I just looked over and went, that makes sense. They're Mavs now 8-7 in the regular standings and 1-1 in Group C. Pels also 1-1 in Group C, but they're cooked for the regular NBA. Last one here, and this is yet another testimonial to NBA Cup makes it kind of fun. Hornets and Nets went down to the wire last night. Nets pulled it out 116-115. And under normal circumstances, I'd be like, who cares? But I watched.
It is a who
pretty
cares
much
game.
The entire second half last night.
You're an animal. You're an animal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not watch that. I did not watch that.
It was
game.
Fun. They didn't have Cam Thomas either, the Nets. And how about that? The Nets pull it off. But the
I'm going to a Nets game in New York next week, though. Even though I'm trying, I can't remember who they're playing. Is it the Jazz? I don't even know. It's not going to be a good game, but I'm going to go and I'll watch that one.
You're going to go. You'll report back and let us know about that. Nets 1-1 in Group A. And
do you want a bonus podcast that night? Do you want a Nets?
Yeah, well, let's think about that. Text me and let me know how that's going. One more quick break, and then on the other side, I want to run this Mark Stein Cup format proposal by you, because as much as we love the Cup, he came up with a good idea. So we'll talk about that next. This is Beyond the Arc.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. Just a reminder, you can find us on YouTube at Beyond the Arc CBS. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and then there's a little bell symbol. If you hit that, you'll get notified when we go live. We are live Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, noon Eastern. Come and join us for these conversations. So the Mark Stein proposal, for people remember Mark Stein from the New York Times and from ESPN, and now he does the Steinline Substack. He's really good, very smart, been around the league forever. He's not as into the NBA Cup as us, Bill. He is older. He's a little bit more curmudgery, though. I like Mark a lot, but he's a little more of a soccer guy too. So I thought he would kind of like the group stages, but he's less excited about this. But his idea is pretty simple, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I kind of like it. His idea is shut down the league for a week and a half. All 30 teams go to Vegas. the first 2 teams get a bye. Whoever made the finals the previous year gets a bye. Then the 28 teams start off with the first round, and then you incorporate in the 2 bye teams, and you just play a single elimination tournament.
So here's my question. Not dismissing out of hand, but how does that impact the schedule in the NBA where they're trying really hard to have as few back-to-backs and no 4 and 5s? And to quote Major League, we're pampering these guys. I mean, how which is fine. I'm just kidding. You can pamper. You player health. Because that's a lot. Part of the advantage right now is obviously the games double up, and so it doesn't really impact the schedule that much.
Great question. I don't know. He didn't have answers for this. My question was, are we playing these games
I'm not interested.
In addition to an 82 game schedule? Because right now the NBA Cups count different or count double. And then the teams that make the finals are the only teams that have to play 1 extra game. They play 83 games instead of 82 games. And that 1 game doesn't count towards stats. So that's even a little bit wonky. But I do like the idea of shutting down the league, and now everybody's in Vegas for a tournament.
And producer Aaron points out that you're taking away home revenue from home games from a lot of teams. Because I think obviously this is obvious, but the NBA wants proof of concept that the NBA can work in Vegas, because that is where that there's going to be a team in Vegas in the very, very distant in the very, very near future. I don't know that they need every one of those teams there, all 30 teams, to make it work. Now, I'm here for it because I could go cover that, and it sounds like I go to Vegas for a week and a half rather than the 5 days that I'm going next month. And I'm the kind of employee who will sacrifice and go to Vegas and deal with the difficulty.
You're a company man.
I ain't 5 paid days on the Paramount credit card. I'll do it for the group. So if it has to be 14 days, I can make it work. I can.
What if it's right now we've got an elimination stage that's 8 teams. What if they're and they're only taking 4 teams to Vegas? Maybe once you make the knockout, everybody goes to Vegas.
So I like that. Like, expand it sort of. Yeah, I think that would be. And look, like, jokes aside, I think 30 might be a little too cumbersome. I like your idea. I like your sort of triangulation with what Stein's proposing, because I've only been to one. There's only been one. It was freaking cool, man. The vibe was neat. It felt bigger than you thought it might. It was just so to have, and the more teams, like for example, you were talking about the Spurs and they won a cup game, and I was thinking to myself, Wemby in Vegas would be cool. Like, Wemby's not going to play, I don't think, in playoff series this year, right? But to have this sort of simulation of games that matter with Wembanyama would feel big. And if you can double the odds that you have some of these storylines that sneak into Vegas and have some of the hue of Las Vegas that get sort of cast on, last year it was the Pacers, but I'm trying to think of an example. Like, it would be like the Rockets are not going to win an NBA championship this year, but I would love to see the Rockets in Vegas. They are fun to watch. That would be really interesting. So yeah, doubling up the teams I love that as an idea.
Our idea basically is, how do we get more teams and time in Vegas? That's basically what we've come up with on BTA. Aaron wants to run one more thing past us. So last night on the Celtics Cavs broadcast, SVG was saying that what if the season leaders are changed from per game averages to totals? So instead if you're the scoring champ, it's not your points per game, it's your total points. So for example, like Jason Tatum, I believe, is the leader in total points this season, but not in points per game. Maybe as a way to encourage players to play more, I guess, is the idea.
No, right. The concept makes sense. I suppose I would hate to have a world where, Steph Curry scores 35 points per game, but only plays 75 games, right? He plays a lot of games, but some other guy plays 82 games, and the math he just gets. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm less bullish on this one. Also, then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of Russes out there getting layups at a buzzer and a blowout. Just
true.
to pad stats.
That's true.
But it's an idea. We're
a bunch of Russes. Can we use it as a verb? Oh, that dude Westbrook's the hell out of that thing.
Russing all over the place. Real quick before we do team of the night. I had forgotten until yesterday. Yesterday was the 20-year anniversary of Malice at the Palace. Do you remember where you were?
I am shocked the NBA didn't hype that up, reach out to people like you and me, pitch some stories, remember? I mean, just,
Can you guys just play this up a little bit and talk about Ron Artest going to the stands?
Right, like NBA.com. Did I miss their 7-part doc on it that culminated yesterday in the
oral history
They could have sponsored the Paul Tyson fight as a I don't remember where I was actually. It's a total blank. 20 years ago, 2004.
I remember exactly. I was living and working in Dallas as a sports columnist for the Village Voice paper down there, and it was late at night. Put on Sports Center, and just like my brain melted out of my ear. I could not believe what I was watching. I mean, and like the way that they started the Sports Center too was, obviously like preparing you for, hey, this isn't just a brawl, this is an all-out riot, and wait till you see this. And like that also, like that Indiana Pacers team was playing really well, and there was a lot of promise for them, and they never realized that promise because Ron Artest got suspended for the entire season, and that blew up their whole year. Basically blew up the team, and the window closed.
I mean, it changed the course of NBA history, and I saw that on Twitter, and my first thought was, man, the NBA did a great job keeping this on just making sure nobody remembered. What a nightmare. Can you imagine taking your kid to that? Well, I have a kid. Taking my kid to that. I take my kid to, I can't, I view that differently now. I really do as a parent than I did before. And I understand why the NBA obviously reacted the way that they did, because it is just, what a black eye that was.
Well, yeah,
and that stuff happens. Like, guys get pissed off.
It changed so many different things, right? I mean, now you can't come off the bench. They instituted like a dress code and all this stuff. The dress code has since been scrapped, but there was all kinds of different rules that were instituted to avoid that in the future. And then you have guys like Joe Mazzulla going, what we need to do is bring back fighting.
By the way, I'm with Mazzulla, but I don't think you should be fighting fans. I'm just going to go, just to clarify.
Don't fight your customers. Is that
don't fight your right? Do not fight your customers. Yeah, it seems like a good rule.
Evidently, producer Aaron's brother was there. He was a student at Michigan at the
game.
Time. Yeah, he called to tell Aaron that there was a brawl. Wow, that's history. I mean, that's definitely, you say like you'll never forget where you were for a certain game. Like right behind me here, I've got it from back in the day. They still have a physical ticket when the Eagles won that Super Bowl in 2018. That's one of those like I won't forget having been there. But man, if you were at the Malice in the Palace,
the Malice in the Palace was not a cool thing to have happen. It would be amazing to watch it in person. It would be, as long as you're high enough
from
right, where you're not on the right. I mean, I can't afford the good seats. You're up from the 300s and the 2. Like, oh wow, that dude just got the bleep kicked out of him.
Man,
Aaron's brother was in the 200 level. Perfect. So 200 level becomes front row seats.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
My God. All right, let's do team of the night and wrap this up. What do you got?
Mine's quick, and it's a losing team, and it's not even sarcastic. It's the Cavs. We already hit all the reason. I just thought it was a great performance. Darius Garland's not going to play like that again. Presumably, if they play a team like Boston in a 7-game series, I love the fight that they showed. You said it; they didn't want to lose, but I thought they acquitted themselves incredibly impressively, considering how down they were on the road in a cup game against a really good Celtics team with something to prove.
Yeah, good loss. I mean, like it's the rare actual time where you could say that and really mean it. So the Cavs should feel good about themselves, although again, I'm sure that they wanted to be 16-0. I'm going to go with your Spurs, beating Oklahoma City in the cup without Wemby, CP3 finding the fountain of youth, Stephon Castle showing that he could be an actual player, Devin Vassell being back. Like that's a team that I was not nearly as high on as you have been, and you were right. Like they've got something cooking here, and without Pop, we hope he's back soon and recovering from the stroke that he had. But Spurs first time making the team of the night.
We have standings coming, right?
We need our leaderboard.
Rocking those,
yeah. We'll add them to the leaderboard. But so congratulations on the Spurs for getting their first team of the night, and to the Cavs as well for getting their second. God.
Can I make a leaderboard suggestion though? Make life harder for Aaron. I think if someone's the team of the night for sarcastic reasons, it's -2. So you can be in the negative.
Well, so the Bucks have been team of the night 3 times, and I'm pretty sure that would make them like -6.
-6.
That's
love
funny.
it.
We'll have to go to the judges on that one and figure it out.
All right.
All right, that's gonna do it for us today. I'm gonna be back at it tomorrow with Sam Quinn from CBSSports.com. And then Bill will be back on Friday per usual with Brad Podkin and Brad's infamous takes, bold predictions. What do we call it?
I haven't gotten to give him a hard time about Wemby yet. So I mean, he might get hit again, even though it's really
amazing.
old.
Amazing. He was Brad's bold predictions. Yes, they tend to be very bold. He's a lot of fun. So they'll do that on Friday. But for now, for our NBA insider Bill Ryder, I am John Gonzalez. We thank you for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.